Untamed.
Welcome to the podcast, people. Martin Devlin, Lachlan War, iOS, It's Only Sport. Thank you so much for joining us. We do a live show, 1 till 4 on the platform, every weekday afternoon. The only truly independent radio sports program you'll get every single day here in New Zealand. Well, what do we do today? Greg Martin on the show, kicking it off on a Thursday as always. Charnze Nicoll-Klokstad joined us, looking ahead to the away trip to Newcastle. The vexed question as always, he's happy playing fullback. Would he play in the centres if he was asked? Simon Doull, cricket commentator extraordinaire, tours the world, calling his favourite game. A couple of weeks off from the IPL, casting his eye over the upcoming T20 World Championships and what kind of a chance does New Zealand have? And we went to the Crucible in Sheffield to talk World Snooker Championships. Ooh, is that the brown? Or does he go for the pink? As always, we start the show exactly the same way, every day. Tablets in hand, gather my flock. It is time for a sermon. How about David Havili as first five for the All Blacks? Huh? Let's go to the mountaintop.
We live in an amazing, amazing world, and it's wasted on the crappiest generation of just spoiled idiots.
Is David Havili the answer? At All Black first five, I'm asking. So too is Scott Robertson. Havili starts in the number 10 jersey for the Crusaders away the Reds Saturday afternoon at the behest of, yes, the All Black coach. Rob Penney says it was Razor's suggestion to try him there. And I'm quoting Penney here. He says, "We've talked about it ourselves as a coaching group, but it wasn't until the All Blacks confirmed they were really interested in seeing him play there that there was a shift in people's minds to go that way." Really interested. Those are Penny's words. Now, under Razor, when he was Crusaders coach, Havili has played first five. For the All Blacks, he's been shifted and shunted around between the midfield and fullback. So what does all this tell us? Well, in my mind, a couple of things. Number one, Razor doesn't have an ideal first choice, first five in mind yet. Number two, either that or he's building up his bench options in case the guy who does start there has to come off mid-game injured or whatever, middle of a test match. So let's rate him and rank him. Right now, who is your number one, number 10 for the All Blacks? Beauden Barrett will be back from Japan. Damien McKenzie put his hand up at the start of the season, says, "I'm the man for the job." Forget Fergus Burke, he's leaving, they're not going to touch him. The other Crusaders' first fives, too young, too raw, too inexperienced to consider. Perifetta from the Blues, maybe Brett Cameron from the Canes. That's it. And now there's Havili as a possibility. Arguably the most important job in New Zealand sport is absolutely up for grabs, and there is no clear candidate. Richie Mwanga's departure has left a huge hole, and it's one that Robertson is clearly very aware of and now desperate to find the guy who can lead our team through what's going to be a monster season of test matches. So who will it be? In my mind, the order is still Barrett, then McKenzie. Cameron or Perifetta will go on tour and probably play against Italy or maybe San Diego versus Fiji. Havili, let's wait and see. He's probably more off the bench as a replacement. I'd say with Havili, a possibility rather than a probability.
Devlin.
What do you want? We want information. Information. You won't get it.
The platform.
News headlines of a sporting bed, Lachlan, are what before we go to Greg Martin?
Can I give you my top three first fives?
Yeah. Right now.
Is everyone healthy?
Everyone's healthy.
Everyone's healthy. Okay, Beauden Barrett?
Yes.
Damien McKenzie?
Yes. That's why he's putting Havili in to try him out, mate, because who is number three?
Well, I'm tossing up between... I've always kind of had a soft spot for Josh Ioane. He's still at the Chiefs, isn't he? I think he is, yeah. He's still at the Chiefs, yes. Josh Ioane. I did like Fergus Burke, but there's no point picking him. Actually, yeah, maybe you're right. Picking the third 10's actually quite hard. What about Harry Plummer?
Okay.
I've actually kind of been a defender of Harry Plummer's for a long time. I love defensive first fives. He's a very good defensive first five.
As an All Black first five?
No, he can't kick a goal. His kicking game in game is pretty average. I don't. He's actually been around for a number of years, Harry Plummer. He's not bad, but he's not an All Black first five.
Okay, so the first rule of qualification to select an All Black first five, he's not bad. I'm sorry.
No,
okay. Yeah, he's got to be the guy.
There's many like Mike Delaney is one of these. Very good at provincial level, pretty good at Super Rugby level, but he wasn't an All Blacks first five. That's Harry Plummer, not an All Blacks first five.
5050 on the text, folks. Let us know who you think.
Not bad. Very good cricketer as well, but like Israel Dag, maybe should have stuck to cricket. Sorry, just kidding. Anyway, I'll start off with some rugby news, and it's a very nice story. It's a heartwarming story. Blues forward Cameron Suifoa, he can play lock, and I think he's played number 8 a couple of times for the Blues. I think he can play pretty much anywhere in the fullback. He's the forwards version of an Isa Nafiwa. That's what he is. Can play anywhere. Or David Havili.
What happened to that guy?
Remember
He was the Michael Jordan of rugby, remember? They tagged him with?
Who tagged him with that?
Ted Henry did, yeah.
Now, he got into an issue with selection around... did he get tagged with an All Blacks cap and then couldn't play for Fiji ever again or something like that?
Yeah, something.
And he played one game for the All Blacks, but then because of that couldn't play for Fiji, but he actually never got back into the All Blacks selection frame and kind of did what Fozzie did with Peter Gus Sowakula. Yeah. Anyway, Cameron Suifoa will make a miraculous return to the rugby field against the Melbourne Rebels in Super Rugby this weekend. Last month, the 25-year-old took a break from Super Rugby in order to focus on completing his treatment from cancer. He had a tumour in his back or something. No hookers are available for the Hurricanes. Well, none of their 3 contracted hookers, I think, from the start of the season. That means that coach Clark Laidlaw has brought in Hawke's Bay number 2, Keanu Kereru Symes, into the starting lineup for Friday's clash with the Waratahs. Now, Hawke's Bay's number 1 is Tyrone Thompson. Now, Tyrone Thompson's going to the NRL, I think, next year. He's joining, is it St. George or something? So I wonder why they didn't pick him, but I guess because he's heading to the NRL, that's probably why they didn't. Just a thought, maybe. Don't know. New Zealand Rugby will... Oh, no, Tyrone Thompson's at the Chiefs. What am I talking about? He's at the Chiefs.
Oh, God, can we just rewind that and start that?
That was a chaotic last 40 seconds.
Whatever.
I apologise for that. I apologise for that. Anyway, New Zealand Rugby will put forward 2 governance reform proposals to its voting members at a special general meeting at the end of May. The first proposal would give effect to the recommendations made in last year's Pilkington review, while the second is an alternative model put forward by the provincial union chairs last month. If you're looking to have a nap this afternoon, just read the story.
Well, the other thing is that, again, this is just Mark Robinson is so weak in terms of leadership, isn't he? You've got the review. These are the recommendations.
Yeah, but the problem is the review recommended that the board get gone, and so does the CEO. So he probably doesn't really want to do that, does he? What if there was an external review conducted at the platform saying Martin Devlin needs to leave and make way for the future of sports broadcasting, his producer Lachlan Wall? Would you, if it was up to you, would you agree to that? Probably not.
I'd probably table a second proposal.
Yeah, I'd say no. The second proposal being I stay and Lachlan stays in his place and, learns his limits. Anyway, the Central Coast Mariners clinched the A-League Premier's plate last night with a 2-0 win over Adelaide, denying the Wellington Phoenix their first piece of silverware. The Phoenix never won anything, have they? Nothing. No Premier's plate, no FFA Cup, no Champions League, Asian Champions League, whatever they call it.
Not yet. Not yet.
Well, they've been around for a while. It's yourself the Warriors, and they've never... Well, okay, no, they were the minor Premiers ones.
Leave the Warriors alone, mate. What is your problem with the Warriors?
Do you want... No, I can talk for hours about why I don't like the Warriors. Move on. Champions League, Dortmund, PSG... The first leg of their semi-finals tie, which was on this morning. Dortmund winning 1-0 in Germany, so the second leg will be in Paris. But they take a 1-0 lead too. I mean, if this is a Dortmund-Bayern Munich final, I'd be shocked. Or Dortmund-Real Madrid. If Dortmund are in the final, I'd just be absolutely shocked. It'd be incredible.
It's happened before. Chelsea have won it in 2012 when they were 6th in the Premier League. You guys won it, I think we were 5th or 6th.
Oh, 05, we finished 6th.
There you go, okay? So it has happened before.
Yeah, but it's just so weird.
Well,
Chelsea knocked out some big teams on their way to winning.
And Dortmund might as well. I mean, this is just your time you run.
Yeah, but Dortmund have had kind of an easy draw, haven't they?
Mate, you beat who you beat.
NRL tonight, the Penrith Panthers taking on the South Sydney Rabbitohs. Geez, I mean, who's South Sydney's interim? Ben Hornby. I mean, it's a pretty tough first task, isn't it, taking on the Panthers, though the Panthers don't have Nathan Cleary. That game will be on at about 10 o'clock tonight. Tune in. Great game.
Devlin.
Yes, can they do it?
The platform.
Charnze Nicoll-Klokstad joined us on the program today. The Warriors number one. So, the form slump, what can we put it down to? Away to Newcastle, what a trip that is. Is it a must-win match for the club this weekend? Plus, if he was asked, would he switch positions and start playing centre to accommodate Roger at fullback? Here's Charnze. What are you seeing that hasn't been going as well as what you want it to go?
Probably just letting the teams out of the end, but too easily than what we would like. I think if we're able to fix those parts of our game up, we can go a long way to winning the game. We've been starting the games really well the last few weeks, and I think if we get that sorted, we'll go all right.
Starting the games really well, and that's, it's almost every game this year. We're a rocket in the first 10 or 15 minutes, but haven't been able to convert those chances and that pressure into points. Does that get frustrating on the field?
Yeah, I guess it can get a little frustrating, but I think we need to look at those opportunities as, we're in their half, we've turned the ball over in a good position, and it's just time for us to go to work with our defense, and the more times that we can do that, that'll put us in good stead to win the game.
In terms of your own performance, how do you feel that you've been playing?
Yeah, been playing okay. I feel just a few areas of my game that I'd like to be better, probably more defensively than anything, and being in the right position in attack, and looking forward to trying to put a whole performance together this weekend.
You're doing so much work on attack as well. Is that sapping you in terms of your defence at all?
No, I don't think so. I feel really fit. I've prepped really well, and it's just probably more of a me thing, making sure I'm keeping my feet under my tackles, and I feel like once I start to do that, I'll be able to tackle a little better.
In terms of where you're positioning yourself and everything like that, I mean, do you go back afterwards and go through the tape of the game, or do you leave that to Webby to do?
No, it's an individual thing. We're all professional athletes here, and that's something that we need to do to stay on top of our games, and it's something that I definitely do as well.
I don't mean to be a smarty pants, mate. I'm just going to ask some questions, Charnze. Was there any taking the Titans lightly because they hadn't won a game at that stage?
No, I don't believe there was any taking lightly of teams, and teams are. It's an NRL game, and if you're not ready to play, you're gonna get stung. And like you said, we've started the games really well and put ourselves in a good position. It's just those letting the teams out of their end a little bit too easy for our liking, and being able to defend those penalties or errors or whatever it may be at that time.
Charnze, after the Souths game, we played so goddamn well in that game, and then, Aussie commentators are talking about this team can go on and win the grand final, all of that. Do you take any notice of any of that kind of chat? Yeah, like obviously it's all over social media and everything else like that, but in terms of the buy-in, there's not a lot of buy-in from my end as an individual, and I know that'll be the same for the team. Like I said, we've started well. It's just about being able to turn the ball over. And I know, sorry for everyone listening or to yourself, but it's a little bit of a tape recording message. But sure,
really,
it
really is being able to have teams kick out of their end and stay in that grind in that way. And if they do get out, it's being able to defend it. And once we're able to do that a bit better, we'll put ourselves in a good position to win the game.
The margins are so fine, aren't they? Wade Egan, look, it was in the end when they frame by frame it, a little knock on. The last one with Devlin when he goes up, I mean, what is that, a millimetre or a fraction of a millimetre? And then we wouldn't be talking like this. We'd be going, hey, we've just beaten the Titans. We've got 4 wins on the board. Let's go to Newcastle. That's how close it gets, man. I don't have to tell you that.
Nah, yeah, it is that close, and it's hard because I can sit here and say it wasn't this or it wasn't that, and those the bunker and the refs and those sorts of people are in their position for a reason, and I can't be one to judge and say they got it wrong and everything else when I can't even put myself into their shoes. So yeah, it's a hard one, but we shouldn't put ourselves in a position where calls like that need to go our way for us to win the game.
Yeah, there you go. And that's very honest as well. Again, it's a question that obviously when a team starts losing, you get all these comments coming up like, oh, they're reading too much of their own press. They believe too much in themselves. How would you like to counter comments like that?
Yeah, stick with us. It's like I said, if you look at the ladder, we're not too far away. We're only a win away from being 7th or something. And we're still figuring out, we know what works. Sorry, not figuring out, but we know what works, and it's about sticking at that consistently. And just have a little bit of faith, stay behind us.
Yep.
And we'll be back. We'll be back in the winner's circle soon for sure.
So last year, despite it was such a fantastic year, I don't think that any of you would have thought you've reached your peak at all. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, I'd agree with that comment.
So that means that this year, you raise your own personal standards and the team raises its own standards again, right? Because this is what this competition is, isn't it? And it's not you or the Warriors. Every team's doing this.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Well, I'll ask you a question that's coming off the text then.
Sorry.
That's all right. That's a great answer.
I thought you were going on to something.
That's great.
I thought you were going to roll on to a question.
No, man, that's great. That's all I needed to know. A question for Charnze. Yeah. How much impact does the NRL schedule actually have on a team's performance? A 5-day or a 6-day turnaround would be tough. Is this part of the factors that you can put to blame for the losses against the Dragons and the Titans, those tight turnarounds?
Yeah, you don't, short answer, no. You can't be basing your wins and losses off the schedule. Every other team is going through a schedule, whether it's short turnarounds or whatnot. And although we have to fly over the season, that's something that we were doing last year as well, and we didn't do too bad there. So, yeah, I don't think the schedule's to blame.
To hear the full interview, download the platform at the App Store. Via Platform Plus, you can go back and listen to the whole show and all of the interviews in full.
We need to talk. We need to talk.
And the game is called What is More Chance of Happening, Lachlan? I'll give you 2 options.
Next!
You tell me out of the 2, which is more chance of happening. Wayne Bennett is named the new Souths coach, or Michael Maguire or Michael Cheika gets named the new Souths coach. What is more chance of happening out of those 2?
Well, based on rumblings and thumblings and strumblings and rumours, well, Wayne Bennett.
Yeah, it has to be Bennett, doesn't it? Look,
I think especially if he's come out and said, I want the job.
I want the job. Will they go back to Madge, given the fact that he was there, he left? Do they go back and try that again? Michael Cheika, despite the fact that he has coached Lebanon, I don't believe has the experience at the moment to handle the NRL side.
He did a little bit of work. I don't think so either. He did a little bit of work with the Roosters a couple of years back.
I still think of him as a rugby coach. Do you still think of him as that?
Yeah, has he coached much league?
Lebanon?
Apart from that?
Well, I think he's been involved in his whole life, but I don't think it's that simple as just to say, hey, I'm now going to... And NRL, being the boss of an NRL side, and an NRL side in such shtick as Souths are.
Yeah, I'd want a coach who's quite recent and fresh in his experience. Someone like Cheika, yeah, sure, he's coached the sport. One, he doesn't do it much, but his ties to the sport were stronger many, many years ago. Obviously, he coaches Lebanon, but there's no international rugby league. There's not much international rugby league to speak of.
What is more chance of happening then? Wayne Bennett is named the next South Sydney coach, or the Rabbits beat Penrith tonight?
Wayne is... Come on.
You don't think that the Rabbits are going to bounce back? Because always when you sack the coach, the players come out and they play for the new guy.
Who are they playing?
Penrith.
Yeah, no.
No Nathan Cleary.
Yeah, they still won about 2 or 3 games without him.
Yeah, good point.
So, I'd say there's more chance that Wayne Bennett is named the coach. Look, here's the thing, just quickly. South Sydney, don't make the mistake New Zealand Rugby League made. If Wayne Bennett says he wants the job and has applied for it and is putting his hand up for the job, you hire Wayne Bennett.
Yeah.
It's like Don Bradman when it comes to batting first. 99% of the time you bat first, and the other 1% of the time
bat first.
You bat first.
That's it. I mean, when I'd actually forgotten about that. It just seems dumb, doesn't it, of New Zealand Rugby League to have had that opportunity.
It is going to go down as one of the worst decisions by a New Zealand sporting team or organisation or governing body ever. It is going to go down as one of those. Because, look, it's nothing against Stacey Jones at all. But if we are being honest and comparing the resumes, the skill sets as coaches, there is no way that Stacey Jones deserves a coaching job ahead of Wayne Bennett.
What is more chance of happening? The Rabbits beat Penrith tonight, kicking off around 10? 10 in the NRL, I think it is. Or
I don't know.
CCM, that's the Central Coast Mariners, go on to win it all and win the grand final. Now, last night, round 9, they took care of business against Adelaide, 2-0, comfortable win. What is more chance of happening? That they take it all, or Rabbits upset Penrith?
I'd say there's more chance that Central Coast wins the whole thing. They're the defending champions, so they actually won the grand final last year.
Right.
And they've backed it up with the Premier's plate. They are clearly the best team in the A-League and have been for 12, 14 months or so. So I think there's more chance.
They won it by 2 points in the end, people. They had won 17 games, 2 more than the Wellington Phoenix. Okay, so they'd lost 2 more than the Phoenix. Phoenix had drawn a hell of a lot more. But with 3 points for the win, when it comes to these football competitions, it's all about the dubs. And to win the Premier League, you've normally got to win these days with Man City 27, 28 games. God, if you win 30 games, it's yours. You're going to get it 90-something points, right?
Well, it's
apart from the year that Liverpool got 97 points and didn't win it.
Well, like you talk about the wins there. That year, Liverpool only lost 1 game and won 30. Man City lost 4 games, but because we drew 7...
And they won, 34?
They won about 32 or 33 games. So it was the wins that ended up giving them the Premier League title.
Still a hell of a year for the Wellington Phoenix, and it comes down now to waiting to see this weekend who wins out of Sydney FC, Macarthur, Melbourne Victory, or Melbourne City, to see who the opponent is going to be. And that's a 2-legged semi-final, so they've got a week or so off, and they don't play again until Sunday the 12th of May.
Next!
What is more chance of happening? The Rabbits beat Penrith tonight, or given that Dortmund 1-0 up over PSG, first league semi-final of the Champions League today, it's a Dortmund versus Bayern all-German final like 2015 when Bayern won, courtesy of a goal very late from...
Okay, hold up a second. I mean, you got the year totally wrong.
Was it 2012?
2013.
13, all right. Who won it?
2015, it was Barcelona.
Okay, so 2012 was Inter Milan. 2013.
No,
So 2010 was Inter Milan.
Yes.
2012 was Chelsea. 2011 was Barcelona. 2012. Okay, so 2013. Is it going to be a repeat of that final?
So that involves Bayern Munich getting a result away at Real, which is them winning or drawing and then holding out for penalties and then winning on penalties, which is totally doable, totally possible. At least from what I've read and heard, Bayern were the better side in that first league. Then again, it doesn't matter who is the better third.
No.
It matters who wins.
That's it. You'd be gutted if you're Man City sitting there. Just for a second, I know I'm never gutted because I don't care about Man City, but they didn't lose to Real. They drew both games. They lost on penalties.
They did because they didn't win the penalty shootout.
Because they're not in the semi-finals.
Yeah.
What is more chance of happening than the Rabbits win tonight?
There's more chance that there's an all-German Champions League.
You're giving them no chance at all. South City tonight.
Not no chance. You're asking me what's got more chance. You're not asking me what one has so much chance and what one has no chance. You're saying what has more chance.
Okay. T20 World Cup is just a calendar month away in the West Indies. Last week, Black Cap squad was announced. Simon Doull taking a couple of weeks off from the IPL till he goes back to the finals. His thoughts on where we sit and what chance we have, the Black Caps, of winning that tournament. The T20 World Cup coming up in June then. Much talk about this at the IPL. Are you all discussing it? Are you all kind of looking at all of those players and wondering how they're all going to play when they get to the West Indies?
Yeah, looking at all the sides, really. I mean, and the big sort of, probably the big 7, 8 that are participating, as in the Aussie players, the West Indies, the Kiwis, and the like, South Africa, English. So you're all looking at that. We're all talking about it. We're selecting our teams, our India team, and all that sort of thing. I got got most of that side right. I was a little bit surprised in some ways in what they did and the route they've gone. They've gone spin, very much spin heavy. Picked 4 genuine spinners, and Hardik Pandya will be their sort of 3rd/4th seamer, but I think he'll have to be their 3rd seamer, and they'll play 2 or 3 spinners. So it's it's going to be interesting. The only thing about the IPL at the moment is with this impact substitute, that is obviously not part of the World Cup. So they're playing with 12 players at the moment, and it makes a big difference in your setup and in your side. So that will change, obviously, when it gets to an ICC event, and you're going to have to start playing with 11, which I just wonder whether that they've lost some of the all-rounders, as in guys that bat a little, that bat well and bowl a little bit. They just no longer have a part in the game anymore because they're not bowling. Like Shivam Dubé has bowled maybe 2 or 3 overs in the whole tournament, whereas last year he would have bowled a lot more of that, or 2 years ago, sorry, he would have bowled a lot more than that without the impact substitute. So it's taken away that role a little bit, and so you are losing that value from an international point of view.
Simon Doull is with us. Finally, then on the New Zealand side, look, I'm not disappointed by it, but I just felt it was a bit too predictable, and I was hoping that we would actually get a surprise, and that surprise I was hoping was going to be one of these young gun bowlers that we saw bowling against Australia. Throw a Sears in or throw an O'Rourke in, and just give us a point of difference. Did you think the same?
Yeah, I did, and even from the Pakistan series that they played recently, there were some really good performances. From that side. To be fair, like missing probably nine players, 10 players.
Yep.
It was a really commendable performance in that series, I think, to be honest with you. So, I look back at the 2022 T20 World Cup, and really, I mean, Martin Guptill's obviously out, so Rachin Ravindra comes in there. But there's really no changes. What does surprise me a little, Marty, is that when I look around that side, we haven't produced any out-and-out T20 players in the last 2 to 3 years that have jumped up and said, I can play this format of the game. I can take the sort of tournament by storm. New Zealand have just been very conservative, I guess, in their selection policy. Looking at Conway still keeping, well, he's coming off an injury. He's not going to play much cricket at all.
No,
prior to
no,
that,
hell no, no,
T20 World Cup.
In the nets, mate. No.
And even when he was playing, he was out of form, horribly out of form. So that's a concern, I guess, from New Zealand's point of view. Do they have the out and out power? That's probably a bit of a concern. I guess with Bracewell in the side, and I expect him to be in that starting 11, to be honest. I think New Zealand will go from an all-rounder point of view. It looks like they'll go with the spin bowling all-rounders, have the likes of Phillips and Bracewell to bowl a few overs if need be, alongside Mitchell, and then use Santner and Sodhi, because I think that where New Zealand are going, obviously we start down in Guyana and then head to Trinidad's, and they haven't tended to be fast, bouncy surfaces. They've tended to play a little bit more spin friendly. So that will be an interesting sort of factor throughout the tournament, I think, particularly in the Caribbean countries.
So, Tim Southee, finally, I mean, again, does he bring what we need him to bring? And that is a guy that's going to take wickets, because that's why he's in the side. He's not there to bat, so that means he's got to actually get the top off. Is he still capable?
I don't think he starts, Marty, to be honest. I think he's there as a backup to Matt Henry. I don't think Tim Southee starts in the first 11. What he brings off the bench is that experience. I don't think... Look, if he was going to be... he's not a first-choice player. So I think if you wanted backup to what you're taking as a first 11, taking a rookie might have been seen as a bit more of a risk. And so they know what they're going to get with Tim Southee if Matt Henry got injured. So that's probably the reason around it. And maybe they felt that this O'Rourke's and Sears, who's... I know he's going to travel with the side, Ben Sears, but maybe they've felt that they're just not quite ready for this one. And they know what they're going to get with Tim Southee if they have to play him course of an injury. So that's kind of where I think the selection policy has come around that.
The Tight Five.
5 separate sporting topics, 60 seconds or so on each of those. When that happens, we move on to the next topic. Havili, first 5 for the Crusaders this weekend. Lachlan, what are you expecting, and could he be the guy, even if it's just off the bench for the All Blacks to fill that role? Because there has to be a bench player for the All Blacks, and I would have thought it would have been either Mackenzie or Barrett, but let's say one of them gets injured. That's right. New Zealand's next wave of rugby talent get to tackle the Springboks. That's the headline on the Stuff website today. It is all about our under-20 side playing the junior Springboks on the Sunshine Coast. I find this very hard to get excited about, even though John O'Gibbs is the coach. Got a lot of respect for him, only because we were pathetic last year at the World Tournament. Pathetic. We celebrated coming 7th, remember? CCM, TCB, NGS. What am I talking about? Champions League, Champions League, Champions League. Borussia Dortmund winning today against PSG. Novak Djokovic is now the oldest man ever to be ranked #1 in the world tennis rankings. Let's talk some NBA. Wrap all that up today. Rabbits versus Penrith tonight. Kick it off with David Havili, though. Now, I'm just trying to think. He was at the World Cup last year, but he got injured, didn't he?
He was injured for most of last year and didn't play in the lead-up.
And that's right. And then he
didn't play the World Cup, I think. Or he might have come off the bench in one of the pool games, I'm not sure.
Yeah, so we don't know whether or not he can play first 5. Under Scott Robertson, he did a couple of times. It slips my mind. There's no standout games at all where I think, David Havili at first 5. But I quite like the idea. And I like it because he's got buckets of experience. They've trotted him all around the back line. And what's his best position? I always
fullback.
thought
It's fullback.
You think it's I was going to say in the midfield. No, fullback.
Fullback. Fullback's his position. That's where he started. That's where he made his name.
Okay,
That's
so if Will Jordan was playing, he wouldn't be fullback. So where would you play him if you're Rob Penney?
Well, his next position is probably second 5 because that's what he played a lot of under Fozzie.
Those are such two completely different positions for a guy to play, aren't they? Oh, no, hang on a second. Geordie Barrett. There you go. Okay, right.
There was in 2019 World Cup. Let's rewind to the 2019 Rugby World Cup. We were short on first 5s, where there was discussions around who our third choice first 5 is, because we obviously had our 2 main choices, Rishi Mo'unga and Beauden Barrett. And I remember Josh Ioane debuted for the All Blacks in that match against Tonga before the World Cup. There was talk about, I think Geordie Barrett played Namibia in the pool stage at first 5. And there's a lot of talk, people saying David Havili should be the first 5. Nothing really happened. And then under Fozzie the next year, he started playing second 5. So there's been rumblings about it in the past about him maybe playing 10. He's got a pretty good kicking game. But I don't know. I always hate these situations. They always make me feel a bit uneasy because it is clearly when your team, whether it's the Crusaders or the All Blacks, is in a situation where they are short on talent, really short on talent, and in this case in a key position. And so you're trying to find people to plug holes.
That's what we're trying to do. We're plugging holes, mate.
And it reminds me a lot of like the NRL teams do this in years where they're really struggling. They'll sign like a has-been to their team. Like the Broncos did this in 2019. Year wasn't going well. We brought in James Seguiaro. The next year we brought in Isaac Luke. Danny Levi in 2021. Years where we were struggling, we brought in these players. Ben Teo, one of those years. It never makes me feel good. And I just think this is just like that. It makes me feel a bit icky, if I'm honest.
Rob Penney.
Doing your job beautifully for now. A wonderful organisation, and the platform. I listen to it regularly and enjoy the commentary and the political debate as well.
Thank you very much, Rob. That was Rob Penney on the program last year. And I like the fact that he has been public, as I said earlier on the program. He has responded to a request from the All Black coach, and he's been public about it, and he's been honest, and he's been open about it. And I don't understand why this has always been kept so squirrel secret with New Zealand rugby. We all know, do we not? We are all very aware that, of course, the All Black selectors, their dark hand is involved heavily in every single franchise. And why wouldn't it be? Because the whole competition revolves around the bloody All Blacks, doesn't it? They get rested and rotated the whole time.
Well, hold on. Maybe Razor was more. Maybe he was more than happy for Rob Penney to say something, whereas in the past, All Blacks coaches didn't want the Super Rugby coaches to say.
Yeah, that could be. Yep. CCM, TCB, NGS. That Central Coast Mariners took care of business. No great surprise. However, the Phoenix have had a fantastic season. Let's not forget that. And there's still plenty more to come. And the Phoenix are more than capable of winning this whole thing. But clearly, and I don't think we can argue about this, Lachlan, the best team in the A-League is the Central Coast Mariners.
Yes.
Should the A-League have let them rearrange that fixture after they went to Kyrgyzstan or Kazakhstan or Uzbekistan or Uzbekistan or whatever?
Why did they go to Kyrgyzstan?
Well, they were playing the Asian Nations Cup, or which is Champions League, whatever it was, yeah. So they were going to come back in a couple of days after flying back through about, 19 different countries and time zones. That they said, no, and they let them actually play it a week later. See, I just think, no.
No, because then if they'd let them play and they, let's say they'd lost, or let's say they drew the last 2 games and the Phoenix managed to finish ahead, then the argument from them would be, well, with such a uniquely congested fixture list, it was unfair. So either way, there's people who are going to be unhappy.
The A-League do not want the Phoenix to win. Let's make that clear.
What? Wait, what?
They don't want it. Yeah, of course they don't want it. It's like the NRL don't want the Warriors to win.
You mean in general? I thought you meant they did what they could to prevent them from winning up until this point.
They don't want them to win the competition. Hell no.
No. They'd be the same as if the Warriors won. I'll tell you one thing quickly, just quickly for Warriors fans, really league fans, when you see Australians on their mediums, maybe less so the kind of more amateur places, but maybe those as well. When you watch the TV talk shows and whatnot, they go, oh, it's so good to see the Warriors playing well. Oh, they're taking over New Zealand. The last thing the Aussies want is a Kiwi team winning their comp. Just know that.
Don't want. A couple of texts that are coming. Martin, how about a bolder first 5 in Hurricanes, Ruben Love? Fullback. I'd like to see him in an All Black jersey, but no, fullback. Havili has played number 10 for Tasman, so Razor must be onto something. She's another texter. And as far as the IPL goes, Martin, it's not on expletive deleted Sky Sport. You've got to buy the Hindu channel to watch. It's not HD. I don't sleep well. I'd normally watch it. I give Sky more than enough money. I think it sucks. Yeah, I totally agree with you on that too. Champions League. So Dortmund beat PSG. Yesterday, Real drew away Bayern Munich 2-2. I still think it's going to be a Real PSG final. Why do I think that? Because PSG went to Barcelona and belted them 4-1 in the second leg, so they're more than capable of winning against
Barcelona had a red card in that game, didn't they?
Yeah, okay, but they were up 2 goals, remember, on the tie, on the night. PSG are capable at home, turning it around.
Well, they're capable.
Okay, well, give us your dream final out of those 4 teams. Who would you like to see in the final?
Not PSG, because I don't want the Middle East to win the Champions League. And not Real, because I don't want them to win another one. Oh, then again, if Bayern Munich win it, they break a tie with Liverpool, and they get 7 Champions League titles.
Any reason's a good reason. You don't want Harry Kane to win?
I don't care.
Okay. I'd like to see Dortmund win because they'd be the most unlikely.
I'll say one thing. When it comes to English players and like Harry Kane, Jordan to win a Champions League, it helps his resume and whatnot. I don't really think it makes a difference. The only reason I say that is that the Champions League every now and then produces a bit of a strange winner because the team can just time their run really well to become a good cup side.
That's exactly right.
Liverpool
That's what it is. Yeah, once you get to the knockout stage.
So I think it's more impressive if he can win the Premier League. Much more impressive.
Celtics won easy against the Heat today, so they are through and they play next in the NBA.
Either Orlando or Cleveland.
Okay, who are tied at
3-2
to Cleveland at the moment. We're just about to kick off with
tip off
with the Cavs. With the Clippers
and the Mavs.
Yeah, game 5 of this series. 2 of the best players in the world, Kawhi Leonard and Luka Doncic, both of them got knee injuries. What is wrong with Kawhi Leonard? He's never really played for the Clippers, has he? He's always been injured.
He played about
bloody Owen Hargraves, mate. He's Anthony Martial, mate.
He played about 60 to 70 games this year.
A brilliant player. I'm not saying he's not, but
he had an injury heading into the playoffs.
He's had that same knee injury for years, hasn't he?
I don't know if it's the same knee. I don't know if it's the same injury, but he's battled with all sorts of injuries over the years, and he's one of these guys, as you say, that it gets to a point where you wonder if it's in their head.
Yeah.
They just sit there and they go, oh, they feel a small tinge and then they're worried.
Yeah. 2 to go before we talk to Simon Doull. Rabbits versus Penrith tonight.
Penrith all the way.
We'll ask Costo about this as well. 3:30, Costo's Corner. Jace goes through every single game of the round. I don't want to talk about the under-20s because, I'm so disappointed with their efforts last year. I just hope that the under-20 players do their gang signs and all of that, their hand signals and this high-five slap dance when they score a try. Just stop it, mate. Win something for once. Finally, here's a lovely story. The new Lion King movie is going to be out at the end of the year. This is a prequel. So this goes back to before Mufasa.
It's about Mufasa's life.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Who's not going to want to watch that?
Well, the only issue is that it's another Disney live action, and then the last Lion King Disney live action, while I enjoyed it, many people didn't like it.
What do you mean live action? Can't they just make a bloody animated movie or something?
Well, it was animated, but it's really good animation that they call it live action.
Oh, so that one, so it's actually it's not cartoonies, it's actual...
Well, it's like CGI, you know.
So it's actually Oh, no, don't do that. No, make a cartoon one.
But...
The cartoon one's so much better.
Well, yeah, it should be a cartoon. It should be like what the original was.
Because the lions don't talk, you dickhead.
Yeah.
Right?
One of the complaints was they look too realistic. There's no emotions on their face when they're talking. So, well, yeah, they're lions.
They're lions.
You know.
Greg Martin every single Thursday on the program, ladies and gentlemen. The former Wallaby fullback, Triple M breakfast host. Our favourite old ocker from across that side of the ditch. Here's Marto. Marto, welcome back, mate. Before we even start on the sport and everything else, a couple of things. You were harassed and hounded at the urinal and had to buy men beers at the Reds game. What the hell was that about?
Excellent opening question. No, mate. All right, so at Triple M, the Reds come in and do their podcast, Pull Up Your Socks Up or something or other. I was leaving the studio. I said, Big Ryan Smith, who plays second row for the Reds, and their hooker, Matt Fessler, they host it. I said, what are you blokes doing in here? And they said, we're doing a podcast. I said, you should get me on sometime. They said, what about now? And I went, anyway, I'm just trying to go home. But yeah, okay. And then at the end, they said, now, would you do a big straight to camera, Marto, and urging the Reds fans to get out. This is last Friday, urging the Reds fans to get out this weekend and watch the Reds when they're playing the Blues. And I did it to Cameron right at the end. And I said, I'll tell you what, if you run into me at the footy, I'll buy you a beer. All right. So we'd had a couple because the Broncos had played beforehand in Caxton Street. We'd had a couple there. And so we wander in. Before I even got into the stadium, there was some bloke, him and his mate wanted 2 beers. I said, hold on. Wait until we get in.
Not even in yet, mate. Come on.
I said when we're inside Suncorp Stadium, I said, but if you can find me. So then I went, Christ, this is going to be interesting because before I'd found my seat, there was another 2. I went, yeah, right. Oh, and then I went, no, just joking. I went and had a wee at half time. And in the urinal, one bloke piped up. He was too long. Had to tell him to keep his eyes down, eyes straight ahead, mate.
Yeah,
he
that's
said,
it.
Marto, buy me a beer. And then a few other mates went, oh, that's Marto. Oh, yeah, hey, yeah, you said you'd buy. In the end, I said, righto, all 6 of you, let's go to the bar. And I was down 6 beers for people I'd never met before in my life. 3 of them hadn't washed their hands. And then I just pulled the collar up, put a hat really low, and went to my seat and scuttled out of that stadium. 6 beers. Like, why was I buying beer for people? Anyway, it teach me to keep my mouth shut.
On the expense account, take that to the program director of the next content meeting.
What a way! What a cruel way to finish the game last week. Poor old Reds playing against the great Blues team, and you scuttled us after full time. It's a bugger, and it teaches you a lesson. Don't kick the ball to the opposition, especially when they can counter-attack like the Blues.
Yeah, well, what's your thoughts this Crusaders game this weekend? Because they just belted the Rebels. They're getting some of their players back. Are they looking ominous and don't? Yeah, they are, aren't they?
They are, yes, of course they are, and we've got to go to Christchurch and play them, the most dangerous place on earth to play the buggers. We're in one of those hot mid-season holes, the Reds, so, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, once again, Australian rugby.
Was it all Demetrio's fault, mate?
The captain goes down with the ship, mate, and the ship was certainly going down. What have they won 5 out of their last 19 games? And they gave him warnings, right, they've got to fix things up. But he's been, I think the term would be latrelled. Wasn't able to control his star player, who's a bit too big for his boots, in my opinion, but wasn't able to control him, and it's cost him his job. Remember last year when they got rid of Sam Burgess? That's because he was trying to pull Cody Walker and Latrell. They're too big for their boots. They're just bigger than the club, or they think they are. And in team sport, no one is bigger than the team. But they've made it about them, so it's easier to get rid of the coach than it is to get rid of your star players, and he's another victim of that. Wayne Bennett could be coaching on his 100th birthday. He could still be an NRL coach at this rate.
Yeah, look, we're going to be talking to Joel Gould from AAP shortly about that. It's incredible. He's going to, 75 next year. He must be, if he's not the oldest, he would be one of the oldest in the world, still coaching. Yeah, coaching at that level.
He is incredible, and I know Wayne, and I know his background and everything, but for a 75-year-old, everyone listening, think about your fathers and grandfathers. What relevance do they have to you as a young man? None, but somehow he's kept relevant all this time, and I don't suppose I've spoken to anyone who he sacked. They still speak of him. These are grown men, speak of him in such loving terms, and I think because he grew up without a father, he had an alcoholic father and they booted him out, I think he has taken upon himself his whole life. He's never drunk, but he's encouraging of his players to have a drink. So he doesn't shut things down, and he treats every one of them as an individual. He lets them train differently. He gets to know their families. He's quite brilliant at what he does. So why? And as he goes, I'm unemployed at the end of this year. I'll need a job. What other 75-year-old goes, I better get another job? He's relentless. He must be bloody good. I've never been coached by him, but I admire him from a distance.
Well, I wish that he'd treat every member of the media individually, because he just tars us all with the same brush, doesn't he? Except, of course, when he's selling a book. My God, he's a charming man when it comes to selling the book. I like him, though. I mean, even though I've never liked the teams he coaches, but I actually do like him. There's something about it. He's a difficult person, I reckon, not to like somehow.
I do impersonations of Wayne on our show once or twice a week, and then when you run into Wayne in person and he says, "You happy with yourself? You happy with what you're doing?" In other words, have a look at yourself, mate.
Have a look at yourself, yeah.
It's a job, and someone has to do it, Wayne. I'm sorry. And then he has that little crooked smile that looks like he's having a stroke. But, oh, good Lord, he can coach footy, can't he?
Tell us finally about your Mother's Day promotion for the radio station. Because, look, having worked on Music Radio, 1 in a row radio, love songs till midnight. Music Radio. See, I used to do Music Radio, right? How good was that?
All right, here's the competition. It's get effed for Mother's Day, okay?
Right.
What you got to do, sons, we started it today, actually. It's quite funny. So you get their son, and they've got to make their mums drop the F-bomb. So one bloke today, he was in terrible trouble with police, and then his mum goes, "Oh, no, what? Oh, not again." And I'm going, "Oh, no, what's this bloke done?" And then finally she drops the, "Oh, you're effing kidding." And she wins the prize. And what's the prize? 2 tickets, son and mum going to the footy together.
Nice.
Now that's a proper radio station.
Nice.
Yeah, the mum to swear, and she goes to the footy. No flowers, just the footy.
To hear the full interview, download the platform at the App Store. Via Platform Plus, you can go back and listen to the whole show and all of the interviews in full. The World Snooker Championships are on at the moment. I don't know whether you ever watched Pot Black as a kid or watched any of the snooker. There's something about the Crucible in Sheffield and the sound. Whispering Ted used to be the main commentator. Every commentator has sort of picked up where he left off. And it's just a genteel, beautiful, serene, but intensely competitive sport and brilliant for TV. Rob Walker is the MC of the World Championships. He joined us today. Well, we were following Ronnie O'Sullivan against Stuart Bingham. Bingham, the 2015 champion. Obviously, O'Sullivan going for a record 8th title, and Bingham tipping him out again.
I know he did exactly the same in 2015 before he then beat Judd Trump in the semis and Sean Murphy in the final. And that is a shock result because Ronnie O'Sullivan has entered 11 events this season. He's been in 6 finals and won 5 titles. Bingham, on the other hand, has had a terrible season, but he has suddenly come alive on this stage. And I think in the back of his mind, he was thinking, hang on a minute, I have beaten you here in the last 8 before. And I think he began to draw on that as he sensed O'Sullivan's frustrations kicking in towards the end of the match. It was a brilliant win for Stuart. It really was.
Yeah, so, where does O'Sullivan sit now? I mean, he's hummed and hawed and he doesn't know whether he's still going to play. What do you expect from him? Do you think he's going to be back next year?
Yeah, look, he after the season he's just had, he's won comfortably north of £1 million prize money. He's just signed a huge money deal with Saudi Arabia to be a kind of an ambassador linchpin for the furthering of the game in Saudi. So I believe wrapped up in that is the requirement to continue on the World Snooker Tour platforms as well. So he has had a great season. He's won 5 massive titles, 2 of the big 3. So yeah, I think he's going to carry on playing, but he will probably carry on doing what he has done for the last couple of years, which is picking and choosing. So there'll be some events that he decides not to go to, and other events that are really big, that are guaranteed one table, lots of money, and he'll turn up for those ones. He's the greatest of all time, and he probably more than anybody can afford to pick and choose without his form dipping too far, even though, at the end of this year, he'll be 49. So we'll be seeing him playing snooker again in future seasons. Of that, you can be sure.
Is the tournament any poorer off without him, or are the names that are still there, Jones versus Bingham and Wilson versus Gilbert, these guys big enough stars in their own right?
That is a fair question. I guess there'll be a few people who would have been super excited to watch a Trump O'Sullivan semi-final, and they're now looking at it, and if they're not regulars, they're thinking, well, who's Stuart Bingham? I didn't know that he won the title in 15. What about this Jack Jones guy? Where's he come from? Well, he made the quarters last year, and in making the quarters before his match against Trump, he's the first man in 25 years to go back-to-back last 8 on his first 2 visits. So, people here will focus on the drama in front of them. Right now, we're talking about Ronnie O'Sullivan and Judd Trump not making the semis. Tomorrow, when people come back to the shiny arena with one table, live on the BBC, live on Eurosport, they'll be focusing on the 2 men in the 2 respective matches that they are watching. They won't be focusing on the men who aren't there. And I think it's truly intriguing. We've got 3 out of the 4 semi-finalists are qualifiers. That hasn't happened since the first edition of the World Champs here at the Crucible in 77. It's a brilliant story, whichever of the 4 players win the title. And brilliant stories make people want to watch. We've got 4 lovely guys, 4 good characters, And I don't think the tournament is going to suffer. Once we've seen the headlines tomorrow and we've seen the reasons and the post-mortem on O'Sullivan and Trump, we'll be fully focused on the last 5 days of drama at the greatest snooker arena on earth.
Broadcaster and MC Rob Walker is with us from the Crucible. You just say that. I love that. Even the sound of that word. Look, to me, it's Wimbledon, and that's what it is in terms of snooker, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's there are bigger places they could go to. There are other venues where they would make more money because there are more seats, so they can sell more tickets. But everywhere you go in this place, it's awkward, it's small, but it's intimate, and it's woven. The physical layout of the building is woven into the stories and the fabric of what's made this event so good. And don't get me wrong, part of the success of this event is the fact that it's been on network television for all that time. Prime time, BBC One, BBC Two, that makes a massive difference. Eurosport are obviously important for promoting the sport internationally. And year on year, you've got people coming from, Germany, Austria. I was talking to some French people with my woeful franglais from when I was 15 back at school. You've got people coming from all over Europe. But primarily, you've got a big British audience because it's free to air. It's on wall-to-wall coverage for 17 days on the BBC. And now we've got BBC 4 as well as BBC 2 and BBC 1. So, for most people, myself included, when you think World Championship, you automatically think Crucible and you think Sheffield.
Who's going to win it then?
Oh man, I knew you were going to say that. What I'm going to say is, I would love, just because I love all four of these guys, I would love to see the winner of Dave Gilbert and Kyron Wilson lifting the title. Wilson's been in the final before and got beaten by Ronnie. Gilbert's been in the semis before and missed out on the final by a whisker to John Higgins. They've both been queuing beautifully. I commentated on both of them earlier on in the championship. I think it would be a great story for the winner of that one to win the title and give us a new first-time champion.
That's our podcast for today. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to listen to the entire show, 1 till 4, Monday to Friday, download the Platform app, and via Platform Plus, you can go back and listen to whatever shows over however many weeks at your leisure, at your listening pleasure. Platform Plus. First thing to do, though, is download the Platform app.
Devlin. You better believe it! The Platform.